Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound Podcast quick picks video for UFC 319. Hamza Chamayv taking on Drakus Duplexi for the middleweight strap. And as always, on the Ground and Pound Podcast, we're giving you a full card breakdown, 15 minutes or less, with a confident level traffic light system at the bottom. And as always, if you're enjoying the content here, hit that like and subscribe button as we kick things off in the early prelim opener of Joseph Morales taking on Alibi Adrias. And this is the Ultimate Fighter finale, and I'm going with Alibi here. I like Alibi here. Team Daniel Cormier getting the victory. I was impressed when I saw some of his striking. He blasts kicks from the outside. He's got impressive entries on his takedowns, and he showed that he's very, very well-rounded in the skill set of MMA and of the sport of MMA. When it comes to his skill set, it's pretty much just a case of where he wants to take this fight. He's going to be able to beat Morales, in my opinion. Morales does have a nice wrestling background. He can wrestle. His striking seems a little bit slow in terms of on the feet. He does tend to time his shots very well, but doesn't have the athleticism here, I think, to really mess with Alibi when it comes to the striking. I like Alibi to get this one done, most likely by unanimous decision. I think he'll strike for a while, mix in some takedowns as well. Give me Alibi here to get his hand raised, medium level confidence. And next up, we have Diani Barbosa taking this fight on somewhat short notice against Karini Silva. This was actually a rematch. Both these women fought in the past. Barbosa was able to get it done by unanimous decision. But I'm going with Silva here. I like the fact that she's got a full camp. I think that she learned a lot in her previous fight against Viviane Araujo. She obviously is known for being a very big finisher, especially at a lower women's weight class, which we don't often see. She has been to a decision before, and her skill set is just very, very aggressive. She comes in looking for the finish in most of her fights. She can strike, she can grapple. Barbosa, obviously a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo, but I think Silva keeps this one on the feet and ultimately wins it with her aggression and her striking. I think her cardio holds up here because she's on a full camp, and I think that she's going to want revenge after losing to Barbosa earlier on in her career. So give me Karini Silva, medium level confidence here to kick things off on the second fight of UFC 319. And next up, we have Brian the Butcher Battle taking on Nuzlatan Rosaboyev, and I'm going with Rosaboyev here. This fight at middleweight, both of these guys have struggled to make welterweight in the past, both struggling with weight cuts, but I like the fact that this fight is at middleweight for Rosaboyev. I think he's going to be the bigger guy, standing at 6'5". Brian Battle, he tends to struggle to make weight. I think the UFC's done this for a reason. They've told him he needs to fight at middleweight because of his missed weight cuts. He struggled, and I don't think that he beat Randy Rude Boy Brown in his previous fight. I think he held him up against the fence and was gifted a decision. I don't think he can do that here against Rosaboyev. I think all the finishing upside is on the side of Rosaboyev. I think he hits harder. I think that the grappling is probably a little bit more of an edge in terms of the submissions here for Rosaboyev, and I think that he's going to be able to get this one done. I'm not necessarily sure there'll be a finish. It might be a late finish if Battle gets tired, but I like Rosaboyev here to get it done, maybe by unanimous decision or a late finish. Medium level confidence here. And next up, we have Drakkar Klose taking on Edson Barbosa. And it's tough to be confident in Edson Barbosa, obviously getting up in there in age. The UFC future Hall of Famer has to be. We've seen the flashy knockouts, the spinning wheel kicks to the dome of many opponents. Obviously still very durable, showed a lot of toughness in one of his previous fights. And there's no shame in losing to Lerone Murphy. But there are signs of him slowing down. He has been caught in previous fights. Drakkar Klose can still crack. He can wrestle as well. But I am going to go with Barbosa here. I think that the athleticism is still on the side of Barbosa. The technical striking is still on the side of Barbosa. And I've never really been that high on Drakkar Klose. I've seen, in many fights now where he's one of these guys where he likes to be the hammer, but he can't be the nail. And I do think that a few outside leg kicks and a few spinning kicks to the body of Barbosa here could definitely cause Klose some problems. I do like the UFC future Hall of Famer Barbosa to get it done here, but we have seen signs of him slowing down, so I can't be super confident here. Only a red confident level pick here for Edson Barbosa to get it done this Saturday. And next up, we have Alexander Hernandez taking on Chase Hooper. And I like Hooper in this matchup, medium level confidence here. Hooper, obviously a very slick jiu-jitsu practitioner, very good at mixing in the grappling, taking the back and controlling his opponents, transitioning from position to position. His striking is always improving, still only 25 years old. I do question how durable he is, and I do think that Alexander Hernandez can still crack. I do think that Alexander Hernandez might be the better overall wrestler here, but we've seen with Hernandez that he tends to slow down in fights, and I think that heavy grappling pace that Hooper can put on him might wear him down in the second and third round. So give me Chase Hooper here to mix in the grappling, hopefully keep this one, in the grappling dimensions. If this one's is a back and forth striking affair, I worry a little bit, but I think Hooper mixes in the grappling here, ultimately takes the back, rides out rounds, and looks for a submission. Give me Hooper, medium level confidence. And next up, we have Lupy Godinez taking on Jessica Andrade. And Andrade is a problem at 155. She can obviously crack. She's obviously very, very tough. She hits very hard. But we've seen with her in the past that she's struggled to defend takedowns. So I think Lupy Godinez here, her main skill set, the wrestling. We've seen it before in the past. She likes to mix in the grappling. I think that she should do that here against Andrade. Look for the takedowns. Look to get this fight to the mat. Control her on the ground. And we know with Lupy Godinez, she's not much of a finisher. She will ride out top control and really just win out rounds with dominant positions. But Andrade here, I think a lot of the power could be coming from Andrade. A lot of the damage could be coming from Andrade on the feet, which is why it's only a red level confidence pick here for Godinez here to ride the top pressure with the wrestling here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Andrade pulls off the upset here with the more damaging skill set. However, I'm going to go with Godinez in a slight lean because Jessica Andrade has been an absolute shell of her previous former self. So give me Lupy Godinez here to get this one done with the wrestling. And next up, we have Gerald Meerschaert taking on Mikul Alexuk. And I'm going to go with Alexuk here. I do think that this fight is very much a grappling versus striker matchup. We've obviously seen with Meerschaert before that if he can weather a storm and get the fight to the ground, he's very live for a submission. And we've seen with Alexuk that he struggles to defend takedowns, and he struggles to, he's pretty much a fish out of water when the fight hits the ground. He has been submitted 6 times in the past. Since his move over to Fighting Nerds, he obviously looked good in his previous fight. I do think that Mikul Alexuk comes in here, finds the chin of Meerschaert early in round 1. However, if he doesn't find that KO presents itself, I'm a little bit worried that Meerschaert might be able to weather that storm, get the fight to the ground, and ultimately submit Alexuk. This is just going to come down to wherever the fight takes place. If it's on the feet, I like Mikul. If it goes to the ground, I obviously like Meerschaert. I don't think this one goes the distance. Not a super confident pick here. And Alexuk, I don't think that the time over at Fighting Nerds is going to be able to improve his jiu-jitsu that drastically. And next up, we have the Contender Series. I guess boss's favorite now, but we've got Basungu Suskav, absolute mouthful, against Eric Noland, and I'm going with Suskav, man. This guy was pretty impressive on Contender Series, getting that body front kick finish, obviously impressing the boss. Eric Noland, realistically, he's coming in here. He's some guy that they've just got off the street to fight for toenail clippings and a couple of bucks. This looks like a showcase bout to me when you look on tape study for Noland. He doesn't look UFC level. They've got him in here on short notice for Suskav to get a nice finish here, and I think that's exactly what he does. He's got very nice kickboxing, very unorthodox. He's very confident in there, very relaxed. And if you look at the way that he strikes, he'll do a lot of unorthodox things. He's kind of a showman at times, but I think that he comes in here and gets the knockout victory here over Eric Noland, who they've got here as more of a showcase bout to end off the prelims here for UFC 319. Give me medium level confidence here on Suskav to get this one done with the striking. And next up, we have Kai Asakura taking on Tim Elliot. Tim Elliot coming off a 1.5-year layoff, 38 years old, obviously a wrestler, grappler, not necessarily known for the striking, not necessarily known for the power in the hands, but when you talk about power in the hands and all 8 limbs, that's Kai Asakura for you. Very confident in him this week. We obviously saw him get dog walked by Pantoja, but Pantoja's been an absolute roll. I do think that Kai Asakura keeps this one on the feet. I think that he's going to find some sort of body shot. He's got very nice knees, well-timed knees. I think that that's going to be the weapon of choice here against Tim Elliot, who's going to look to wrestle. I think that Asakura finds the body shot here, finds the TKO victory on a 38-year-old, slowing down, lay off Tim Elliot here. Give me Kai Asakura to get this one done with the striking. And next up, we have Michael Venom Page taking on Jared Cannonier. And I like Venom Page this week. I think that he's going to be able to dance around on the outside, snake charm Cannonier. I think Cannonier is going to look to wrestle, but he'll be swinging at air. I don't think that he's going to be fast enough to catch a guy like MVP. And we've seen with MVP that he can obviously find the chin of people when he steps in with elbows, when he steps in with the right hand. I think the speed discrepancy here is going to be very noticeable and very much on display. I wouldn't be surprised if Cannonier is able to find a takedown, but I don't think that he's going to be able to hold MVP down. I think he's going to be able to get back to his feet, get back to the striking, and ultimately I think he might find a knockout here. We've seen with Cannonier, he has been rocked in previous fights in the past. That worries me a little bit, especially at 41 years old, but give me Venom Page here to get this one done by a latent TKO victory. And next up, we have Jeff Neal taking on Carlos Prates, and this is striker versus striker here. I don't think there'll be much grappling here. Jeff Neal, to me, is just one of these guys that comes in very aggressive, doesn't worry too much about defense, and he pretty much just only knows how to be the hammer and not the nail. Well, Carlos Prates is good at getting his reads. He's going to have the height and reach advantage in this matchup, and I think that he puts Neal out on the feet or he beats him up pretty bad. And I wouldn't be surprised, again, if this is a late sort of second round, third round TKO victory here for Prates. Very nice left hook, obviously over at the Fighting Nerds as well. Very confident in him to get this one done here on the feet. I think he's the better striker in what's going to be a pretty much all striking matchup. Give me Carlos Prates here. Confident level pick this week. And next up, we have Lerone, the Miracle Murphy, taking on Aaran Pico, making his UFC debut. Give me Lerone Murphy, man. I like him here. 16-0, 8-0 inside the UFC. That undefeated confidence. I think the kicks of Murphy are going to play a big factor here. We know that obviously he can grapple. We've seen him get taken down and held down in the past, but I think that he's going to have a good training camp here, making sure he's defending the takedowns. I think he's the better striker, the more elusive striker, the better athlete. We've seen him go 5 rounds before in the past, and we know that obviously he can hang with the best of the best inside the UFC, whereas Aaran Pico, coming off of a 1.5 year layoff after fighting Henry Corrales, Pedro Carvalho, these aren't UFC level guys, along with that long layoff here. I know that Aaran Pico can wrestle, but if Murphy can keep this one on the feet, I like him here for the dog of the week, Lerone, the Miracle Murphy. Full highlight reel tape on the channel. I'll leave a link in the description for that one, but I like Murphy to get it done here by unanimous decision. And that brings us to the main event of the evening. Drakus Duplexi defending his middleweight title against Hamza Chamayv. And I think Chamayv, we're going to see new here. We know with Hamza Chamayv that obviously he comes out very aggressive early in round 1. I think that he's going to look to take this fight to the ground, implement his wrestling, and find the finish inside the first 2 rounds. However, if he doesn't get that finish inside the first 2, I expect Drakus Duplexi here to kind of turn the tides, you know, kind of weather a storm, and maybe even get a late finish or win by unanimous decision here, winning the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round if Hamza does get tired. But I do think that my pick here is going to be Hamza. It's tough to really, you know, kind of call this one. I think this is a 50-50 fight. I think Hamza is going to come in here very aggressive and ultimately find the finish with his wrestling. We know with Hamza, obviously, that as the fight goes longer, that he will slow down because of his aggressive style. But I do think that that's how he's going to get it done here this week. And obviously with Drakus Duplexi, he is very tough, a great champion. I just think that Hamza's going to be a little bit too big. I think the wrestling's going to be too much. And I think we see new this weekend. Not super confident, however, because Drakus Duplexi has proved people wrong in the past. And obviously, we have to let you guys know what's coming on the channel and what's already here. We have the dog of the week, the full highlight reel of Lerone, the Miracle Murphy, and why I like him as my favorite betting underdog. We've got the full card breakdown for UFC 319. That's live on the channel. Carlos and I do that video every week, a more detailed breakdown for this entire fight card, along with our UFC 319 best bets to put some money in your wallets. And as always, if you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound podcast, 15 minutes or less, full card breakdown. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.